find your calling. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe in great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As wish all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. Steve Jobs. Children are often advised on what profession to choose. In India, this advice is offered by parents as early as middle school. Quite frequently, at the end of a consultation, parents of a child in the 6th or the 7th grade will say something like, "Doctor, please tell our son that he must make up his mind on what he wants to do when he grows up. It is already too late. So many other children in his class have chosen their profession. You too must have chosen your career by the time you were our child's age." Backed into a corner by the parent and with opposite views, I usually say, there are so many career options today, and it takes time to decide what one really enjoys. I'm sure he will decide soon enough. In the 9th standard, children are often sent off to coaching classes after a grueling day at school to prepare for entrance exams for a coveted engineering college, medical college, or law school. For 4 years, these teenagers toil to make it to the merit list. Only a minuscule proportion of them succeed. Thousands are disappointed. Many decide to work even harder for another year to improve their scores. Some, I suspect, are relieved at not finding their name in the list of selected candidates, as they perhaps never wanted to do medicine, engineering, or law in the first place. They went through years of coaching classes because they could not tell their parents that they wanted to follow their hearts and choose a different profession. Many just did not have the courage to tell their parents that they simply had not decided. They just went down the path of least resistance. After all, who says you have to decide at 14, 16, or 18? What about all those who got into a top professional college? Were they really interested in the course they were pursuing? I have friends who are exceptionally intelligent and had made it to the merit list of both a top medical college and a good engineering college. They chose medicine because it is regarded as one of the most honorable professions in India, or because one or both parents were doctors. 2 decades later, when I met them and see the glow in their eyes when we talk about new technology, I can sense their regret of having gone to a medical college instead of an engineering one. They are extremely successful as doctors. But what if they had become engineers? They may have spearheaded inventions that could have had a huge impact. But that did not happen, only because they chose a profession that was not their calling. Many times, following your heart is really hard and hampered by several challenges, such as family pressure, financial circumstances, fear of failure, hesitation to move beyond a comfort zone, or even the age factor. Some people cannot even contemplate change because they are older. Albert Schweitzer, however, was an outlier. Born into a family of pastors, teachers, and musicians in France, Albert showed an interest in music at the age of 5. He learned to play the piano, but the organ fascinated him more. He began to play the church organ when he was just 8. At the age of 18, he joined a university to study theology, philosophy, and music. He excelled in college and completed a doctorate in theology. He became a pastor and wrote 2 books, Mystery of the Kingdom of God and J.S. Bash, Le Musicien Poétique, a study of the life of Johann Sebastian Bach, which made him famous. He started receiving several invitations as a speaker and organist. At the age of 30, Switzer stunned his family and friends by announcing that he was going to join a medical school. He decided to devote his life to serving the people of French Equatorial Africa. I wanted to be a doctor so that I might be able to work without having to talk. For years I had been giving myself out in words, he said, CARE 1994. At the age of 38, after training for 7 years to become a doctor, he set sail for Africa with his wife Helene, who was a nurse. In a jungle a few miles from the equator, he set up a small health facility in Lambaréné, now Gabon. The compound was designed as a simple facility that cared for the needy and the sick, run with the motto that simple people need simple healing methods. The climate was hostile, resources extremely limited, and the need immense. The spectrum of diseases encountered was vast. Within a few months of his arrival, he had seen 2,000 patients. Switzer and Helen was taken prisoner during World War I. After being released from prison, Albert raised money for the hospital by giving organ recitals in Europe. Volunteers, nurses, and other physicians joined the facility to offer their services. As word spread about the excellent care at the hospital, patients traveled for hours for treatment, which was believed to be the best in the country. Switzer made a huge difference in the lives of the people he served. He was the only hope for many people. His work drew global attention and inspired many to follow suit. Over years, the Albert Switzer Hospital expanded substantially and had 70 buildings, 350 beds, and a leper village. The hospital treated almost 30,000 patients each year. Switzer was honored with numerous degrees, chitons, stamps, medals, the British Order of Merit, and the Nobel Peace Prize. Not one who was impressed with recognition. He took 2 years to accept the Nobel Peace Prize in person. His resolve to help others at the age of 90 was as strong as it was at 30. You must give some time to your fellow men. Even if it's a little thing, do something for which you'll get no pay, but the privilege of doing it, he once said. Marshall and Pauling, 1971. Switzer was a musician, writer, and lecturer. He was a theologian, philosopher, and thinker. He was a builder, architect, and administrator. He was a mentor, guide, and leader. He was a pharmacist, a psychologist, and above all, a good doctor. He had the conviction to find his calling and the courage to devote his life to his calling against many challenges, including going to medical school at the age of 30, which would hold back most men. If 30 is a daunting age, imagine breaking away from a settled career at almost 70. At the age of 69, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada decided to establish the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. In the US, over the next 10 years, he traveled across the globe as many as 12 times and established ISKCON centers across the world, and the world's largest vegetarian food relief program. We have always been taught that success requires a fine education, but the achievement of many people who chose an unconventional path negate this idea. Soichiro Honda, the founder of Honda Motor Company, once famously said, "A diploma is less useful than a ticket to a movie." www.motorcyclemuseum.org 2000. Honda was speaking from personal experience. Honda was born in a small village where his father worked as a blacksmith who also repaired bicycles. While Honda enjoyed helping his father, he did not enjoy schoolwork. Once, to save his family the embarrassment of having to stamp a poor school report card, he devised a stamp using a rubber bicycle pedal cover. He also made forged stamps for other children, for which he was caught and reprimanded. When he was very young, a car drove through his village. He ran behind the car and stuck his hand in the oil puddle left by the car. Many years later, Honda recounted, "I could never forget the smell of the oil it gave off." Honda Worldwide, 1936. That day, a little boy discovered his calling. Soichiro Honda wanted to make automobiles. At the age of 15, he joined an automobile workshop in Tokyo as an apprentice. For 6 years, he worked as a mechanic and learned all there was to learn about engines. He then moved to Hamamatsu and set up a garage, which became popular. In his heart, however, he wanted to build automobiles. His first entry into manufacturing was to start making metal pistons. The project was not initially successful, so he decided to study metallurgy by enrolling in a technological institute. He completed his studies but dropped out of the college because he refused to take the examination. He believed engineering was not just applied science, it was imagination made real and useful. After many experiments, he created perfect piston rings. But what he really wanted was to create cars. After World War II, when Japan's economy plummeted, Honda went back to repairing cars. He disliked traveling to work by train, and as riding a bicycle was slow, he created a mini low-cost motorcycle. A local businessman, Chikio Fujishima, became interested in this motorcycle and decided to help Honda. The Honda Motor Company was thus born. It became the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles, producing 1 million units per month. Honda, however, was not satisfied because his dream remained unchanged. He approached the Ministry of International Trade and Industry with a proposal for making cars and was told that he should continue to manufacture motorcycles as only a handful of automakers were part of the ministry's plan for automaking. Honda, however, did not take no for an answer. He stunned Japanese and US automakers by focusing on the US market. Honda became the first Japanese auto company to manufacture cars in the US. Toyota and Nissan followed. Honda Motor Company became the world's largest manufacturer of internal combustion engines by volume and Japan's second largest automaker. Honda was honored with Japan's highest honor, the Blue Ribbon. He received honorary doctorates from Michigan Technical University and Ohio State University. He had 470 inventions and 150 patents to his name, even though he did not have a university diploma. For parents whose children are not interested in academics, Soichiro Honda's life is a source of great strength. Especially in India, we need to focus more than necessary on academics. Nandini and I did not want Devang to go through what some of our friends' children had to endure. When he was 16, we suggested that he should see a career counselor and take a psychometric test. The purpose of the counseling and test was to help identify a career path that really interested him, because with more than 3,000 career options, it can be a mind-boggling task. We often do not ask our children what they love doing. We ask them about professions, not passions. We don't seek to recreate what Thomas Edison felt when he said, "I never did a day's work in my life. It was all fun." We give our children examples of relatives who have become successful and push them to emulate these people. We forget that children dislike being compared to others. Statements like, "You should become a doctor like your cousin," or "You could be like your older brother and become an engineer," rub children the wrong way and often make them want to do exactly the opposite. Instead of relatives, we should talk to children about their role models. All children like that. When we have a conversation about their role models, we can drive home the point that if you want to be as successful as Shaquille O'Neal, Cristiano Ronaldo, Zef Immelt, Amartya Sen, or anyone else, you need to find your calling. We need to make children realize that their heroes achieved what they did because for them, their profession was their passion and work was pure joy. Parents will be surprised when they have an open discussion with their children about what they really want to do. Parents, in fact, need to be prepared to hear choices that seem scary. Anyway, isn't receiving shocks parts of the job description of a parent? In my clinic, I have a few photographs of celebrities who have over the years supported my work on creating awareness about disease. A few years ago, a 13-year-old girl, Alicia, stopped next to a photo of an actress and said, "You know, Dr. Sibal, one day when I become a superstar, you'll put up my photo in your clinic." Divya, her mother, was surprised. "I was going to tell you in a couple of years that my dream is to be a superstar," the young lady explained. Now, whenever Alicia comes over for a consultation, she talks about her dream. Alicia is lucky. Her parents are supportive. They will let her find her calling. Many parents do not. Albert Schweitzer, A.C. Bhaktideva Swami Prabhupada, and Soichiro Honda achieved what they did because of one reason. They found their calling. We too must help our children and set them on their path to their calling. Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. Nelson Mandela.